I know for many people this is a touchy subject, and so I don't want to offend anybody, but I want to state truth. As you guys know me, truth reigns on the Dr. Osborne show. And we've seen here recently, we've seen some magazine ads that glorify obesity. And I want to be very, very clear. That's a very, very dangerous precedent and message to send. Obesity is an inflammatory problem. And you should, if you are struggling with your weight, you should recognize it as such. Don't normalize illness, right, to feel better about how things are. Recognize that it's a problem. Pay attention to me tonight, because hopefully I'm going to be shedding a light on a lot of the different solutions around this, again, this very controversial topic. So without further ado, let's dive in. We're going to be talking about some major concepts here. Number one is calories, right? A lot of people think that calories are the fundamental end-all be-all of how we associate weight gain or weight loss. So we're going to be diving into calories. We're going to be diving into macronutrient ratios. If you don't know what that is, sit tight, we'll get into it. We're going to talk a little bit about exercise and what kinds of exercise and the importance of exercise with weight loss and healthy weight loss and muscle building. We're going to be talking about inflammatory diets, what things are triggers here to create inflammation that actually cause weight gain. We're going to be talking about hormone balance, in essence, how hormone imbalances can contribute to weight issues. We're going to be talking about nutritional deficiencies. We're going to be talking about sleep. All of these are what I would call fundamentals if you're trying to master this weight puzzle, right? And so pay the same attention. Some of you may not have an overweight problem. Some of you may be underweight, trying to figure out how to gain weight. This information very much applies to you as well. So without further ado, let's dive in. We'll talk first about calories. So, a lot of people are under this kind of perception or that total calories is what matters. So like if there's something in the weight loss industry, you probably heard people talk about it. It's called BMR. BMR stands for basic metabolic rate. Now, basic metabolic rate is basically it's the amount of calories that you're going to burn on a daily basis. And so some people believe that BMR is under genetic influence. And it is to a certain extent. We all have a genetic influence to our basic metabolic rate. Again, basic metabolic rate meaning the quantity of calories that you burn in the course of a day. But there are a lot of factors that play into your basic metabolic rate, and so we're going to be talking about that. One of the biggest ones is exercise. Another one is stress. So if you don't exercise and you're under tremendous amounts of stress, I want you to understand that these two things combined long term can actually affect your basic metabolic rate away from your genetic set point, meaning it can alter the quantity of calories you can consume on a daily basis. And we see this a lot in individuals who again, they've eaten the same quantity of food for the most part of their life, and then as the stress of life builds on them, they start gaining weight later in life. And it's because that stress alters their basic metabolic rate to the point where calories in and calories out are not equating to each other. Now, there's two components to calories. One is people eat too much. The other is people can eat too little, right? So if we're just talking about caloric math, first of all, let's understand what a calorie is. A calorie is the quantity of heat generated when we burn food in an airtight box. So if we're trying to figure out how many calories in a particular food, we put that food in an airtight box and we burn it, and we measure the heat that's generated from the burning of that food. That's what a calorie is. And so you can overconsume calories, as you can see in the diagram, too much food, right? And it's easy to do this. You can also underconsume calories. For most people, that's harder to do unless you're fasting, intermittent fasting, and you've really got it dialed in. But obviously, traditionally speaking, too many calories, if your basic metabolic rate is 1,000 calories a day, and we're just doing easy math here, calories a day, and you eat 1,500 calories a day, then you are in surplus of 500. Okay, and again, this is just simple math. Now, understand that 3,500 calories, 3,500 calories, is equal to 1 pound of fat. So again, 3,500 calories is 1 pound of fat. So again, if we're using this as an example, you eat 1,000 calories a day, you burn 1,000 calories a day, you eat 1,500 calories a day, you have an excess of 500 calories. If you multiply that times 1 week, which is 7 days, then theoretically, you're going to be gaining 1 pound per week. 4 pounds a month, do the math, right? So again, this is if and only if calories were the only factor contributing to weight gain or weight loss. So it's important to understand that calorie counting can be important, but pay attention and remember this. We're going to go through some other things, in my opinion, are far more important, especially in today's world. And so if you have all these other things dialed in that I'm about to talk about, then you come back to this fundamental principle, which is how many calories are you burning at rest? And how many calories are you eating? Account for exercise, because exercise adds to your BMR. So your BMR is your basic metabolic rate. It's how many calories you burn at rest. And when you add in your exercise and daily activity, that's how many total calories a day you expend. And that number needs to be less than the quantity that you're consuming totally in a day. So again, we use this 1,500 calorie example, but that may not fit you. And then there are formulas for BMR. So if you're interested in knowing what is my basic metabolic rate, then you can use, there are a number of different online formulas, calculators that you can plug in your age, your weight, etc., and it will give you a basic metabolic rate that is relatively accurate for yourself. So again, if you're trying to figure out your BMR and you've never done this before, check out look up online, look up BMR calculator, plug in your information. It's going to give you a base of calories, and then you plug in your exercise, and that's going to be your total caloric expenditure for the day. And then again, that number needs to be less than your total caloric intake for the day, and if it's less, then you should be losing weight. If it's not less, you're either going to stay the same, you're going to be at a plateau, or if it's too much, you're going to gain weight. And again, that's if all things are all things that we're talking about here on this list, right? If all these things are dialed in here, then we come back to calories as a last resort. We never start with calories first, because if you start with calories and these other things aren't dialed in, you're not going to lose weight long term. You might lose weight short term because you do a restricted calorie diet, but it's not sustainable. Most of these plans, like the Nutra plans that you do online that are calorie counting type plans, where basically they send you garbage food that has caloric limits to it. Those are not sustainable. Most of those plans, you might lose weight in the first month or two, but after that, you end up in trouble. Hey, don't forget to check out the rest of the series right here. Make sure you hit subscribe below. And as always, thanks for tuning in.